And we're live.
Excellent. Yes, welcome. For us tech nerds, no, it does take a bit of a while to get things running, but good to be up and running. So yeah, how is everyone? Who do you have online?
Yes. If you are here and you can hear us, drop a message in the comments. Very happy to be there. Again, a couple of technical difficulties. That's what you get from a couple of hospo guys and IT. But thanks for joining us today. We did. I think after last week we got some really good feedback, and thought we would jump on today and chat with you all around menu planning.
Yes, absolutely. Well, importance of menu planning, and thank you for those who actually gave us feedback on certain topics and areas that we'd be interested in, and that's something that we are really keen on. So areas that you feel that it's going to add a lot more value, you want to know more, you want to learn more about it, just let us know and we would love to speak about that. Yeah, we got some feedback, and one of the ones was absolutely, which I think is really critical, is menu planning and everything to do with why menu planning is so important. And where do we start? You're opening up a brand new restaurant, or you're actually running a restaurant right now, not sure where to start. Do I design my kitchen based on my menu? Should I be attracting the right customer based on my menu? Where do we start, Dominic? That's the first question, I guess.
Where do we start? That's a really good question, I guess. The thing when we look at menus, and I'm a chef by trade. I started my career in hospitality in the kitchen, as some of you all know. What I used to do, and what a lot of venue owners do, is actually plan a menu based on product, right? And so we'd actually go out there and say, I want to create this really awesome dish, whether it's a burger or a salad or a steak or something like that, and actually plan based on what we wanted to put on the menu. And since I got older and wiser and learnt a lot about business, I realised actually that wasn't the right way to plan a menu. And the way that we certainly look at menus now, and we do this with all of our customers or our clients, we use some examples. We've just come from a coaching session with the business owner. And it's when we're doing menu planning, it's actually all about planning around a business outcome. Right, and so rather than I like this burger and I want to put it on the menu, it's knowing what we want that product or that menu to achieve. And by that I mean it's looking at things like are we trying to increase revenue? Are we trying to increase the number of customers coming into the store? Are we trying to drive the cost down? So we're looking to put more profitable items on the menu. There's always got to be, particularly when we've got an existing venue, there's always got to be a tangible business outcome to come.
Okay.
And it's kind of looking at it backwards, I guess, from the way that we used to do it, which was, again, I like these products and I want to sell them because I think people are going to like them. And that's certainly part of it. But once we go beyond, I think this is a really tasty item. It's then about saying, how do I get the business outcome that I'm looking for, which is to make more money from this particular product? Am I looking to bring people into the store by selling this? Am I looking to increase my average sale? Am I actually looking to increase my profit because this new menu item is actually driving more profit?
And that's a great point, and I guess it's relevant for businesses that are currently operating and they have a business model in place.
Yeah.
Now, if you have to do sort of a quick 60-second importance on people who are just about to get into the restaurant business and they're like, well, I've got some great ideas. Where do I start over there? What would that be?
Yep. There we go. Just checking. Good question there. If you're just starting out or you're at that sort of concept stage, and I say this even if you've got an existing restaurant, but let's say with someone with a new venue, I always look at what's the gap in the market that you're trying to fill, right? And so if you're, I use the example of burgers quite often, but if you're a burger chain or you're the average cafe down the road, what are customers going to come to you for? Like, what is your menu all about? What's the concept all about? If you're just doing good average cafe food, there's nothing wrong with that. But that's kind of your thing. And so I'd look at a menu and say, well, what does an average cafe have to offer? Have you got all of the different parts of the menu? So you're obviously going to have coffee and some cold drinks and things like that. But on that food offer, what food offer are you actually going to have? Are you all about salads and sandwiches? Is it predominantly a takeaway business? Are you catering to, well, certainly not during COVID or depending on where you're located, are you a lunchtime offer for the office crowd? Or are you a weekend breakfast brunch spot? So what's your kind of thing? What's your concept? And making sure that you put a menu together that covers that, right? So that's the first part from a product point of view. And then when we look at that, take the next step and we're saying we break that down and say on that menu, items need to perform at a certain level. And that's where we talk about things like the profitability, or is it a traffic driver, and things like that.
Absolutely. And see, I think that's a great point when it gets to your next step about profitability. And everyone wants all the menu items to be profitable. Now, some people say, hey, the big breakfast I sell has so many components to it, and I sell it for $20. Whilst compared to the bacon and egg roll that I sell for $12. Now, should I be selling more bacon and egg rolls? Should I be selling more big breakfasts? One takes more labor than the other. One's more profitable than the other. What's the key way? How do I know how to structure that sort of the menu in regards to planning that, mapping that out? So, and speaking about costing, where does that sort of play in that relation?
Wow, there's a whole bunch of questions there.
There is, I know.
Look, I'll start with the first part, which is the cost versus profit for different items, right? And you and I just came from a coaching session with Stephanie, who's got a couple of restaurants, and her chef. And we talk a lot about this, which was understanding that different products on your menu serve different purposes, right? And so some of them are, and I'll use the cafe example because I think it's the easiest. If we think about a ham, cheese, tomato croissant, right? It's the entry level product. It's the thing that people are going to grab generally in the morning on the way to work, or it's a quick breakfast. And then you've got on the other end of the scale the big breakfast, right? For those people who are offering it. So $20 to $25 product that's sit down. I'm probably going to be at the venue for 30 to 40 minutes. I'm having a coffee, maybe two. Generally going to be served on the weekend, or consumed on the weekend, I should say. And so it's understanding that actually both of those products have a place, but they serve two very different purposes. So one is about convenience and about entry-level price point, and the other is actually around profitability and getting my average sale up. Where, like, it's to your point, where do they both sit? Well, they both sit together on the same menu, but for two different customers for two different times. If we had a venue that only did takeaway, as an example, you're not going to have a big breakfast on there. So you're looking at things that are more takeaway options, that really quick serve and go. We've got our Reef and Lockie, who are our clients in Byron Bay, have almost exclusively takeaway business, and it's a cracking business that they've got up there, but very little sit down offer. So for them, everything's all about, we talk about price point from $9 or $10 to $14 or $15 for their meals, but it's in and out in 3 minutes. So everything they do is all about convenience. If you're looking at something that's a more well-rounded with sit-down offer, you're looking at something where you've got big breakfast, and we want people to come in and have a quick meal probably during the week, but then on weekends we want them to spend $25 or $30 per person. We want them to sit down and have a full-blown meal, but that's going to cost more. It's going to take more labor to do that.
Sure.
Well.
And just on that, the concept of having a good, better, best scenario in your menu as well. So we can't necessarily have all menu items at $18 or $20. We still need to have a mix or spread across the menu as well. So we speak a lot about having that in the mix as well. What percentage of it should be a good menu items, what should be the better, and what should be the best. What's your key takeaway of that, or what are your 60-second sort of key takeaways that someone can take from that?
Sure.
Yeah.
Look, I think let's take a step back, because we obviously talk about this a lot, which is this 3-tier pricing structure. And for those of you who haven't been introduced to that, it's referred to as the good, better, best pricing structure, or GBB for short. We use a GBB pricing structure all the time when we look at a menu, and the reason for that is actually it's about customer behavior. It's influencing customer behavior.
Yeah.
And it's recognizing that you need some entry-level products on your menu, being the good. And so when you've got people coming in, you've got cheaper products on the menu. Now, when I say cheaper, it's not necessarily cheap and nasty, but it's a price point that people look at you and say, okay, that's an acceptable price point. I'll come and dine here. If I use this in the scenario with a burger chain, it's your standard cheeseburger. That's an entry-level product, right?
Sure.
It's a stock standard basic commodity. We then have the better, which is the middle of the road products, right? So it's what we want people to buy all day, every day. And so this is the biggest category, and I'll get to percentage in a second. This is the biggest category of products. And then we've got the best. And the best is all about recognizing that some customers always want the biggest, the baddest product that you've got to offer. And so when you are when you're pricing or when you're creating items, some people will want the biggest thing on the menu. They want the most luxurious. On a breakfast menu, it's the big breakfast, right? It's give me everything on one plate, and I'm happy to pay $25 for it.
Sure,
right?
sure.
If you don't have those products, if you've only got 2 tiers, so that good and better tiers on your menu, and you don't have those premium options, you're actually doing yourself a disservice as well as your customer.
You're missing out on basically that customer group entirely.
You're missing out on that customer group, or you're telling that customer, actually, you need to buy my cheaper products because I don't really have anything to offer. The other side is that, obviously from there's a price point of view, there's also just a product point of view. Some people just want the best and they're happy to pay for it, right? But recognizing only a certain percentage of people do. So to talk to the percentages, when we look at this across the spread of a menu, 20% of our products should be driven by the good, the entry-level price point. 60% of the products should be the better, being the middle of the road, what we want people to buy every day.
Yeah.
And the final 20% is the best.
Sure.
And that allows us, by having that spread, it allows us to have an entry-level price point, but also drive the price tier, the price threshold of our menu much higher by introducing those 3 levels.
That's excellent, and I think that's a great starting point when designing the menu as well. When you have your entry price points, your mid tier, and then your high price points as well.
Absolutely.
Everything. We just got a comment here by Robert as well. Thank you, Robert, for sending in your comment. You're speaking about having a dollar value profit margin versus a percentage margin as well. And it's funny you mentioned that, because we literally were speaking with one of our clients an hour ago about the exact same topic. So having a 25% cost of goods, is that better than having a 35% cost of goods? So which one's better? It's almost like deja vu. We're just speaking all over again.
Yeah, absolutely. You cannot bank percentages. I think that's when we talk about food costing and recipe costing, that's one thing I guess always take away. You can't pay your bills with percentages. You pay with dollars. You pay with revenue and profit, actual GP dollar profit rather than a percentage. Where food cost comes into it, and again, we'll use the example we're using today with Stephanie, is food cost is the first point. So it's a guide. It's literally a guide to say, my food cost is X percentage, but then what happens after that? And the reason we say that is, to your point, are we better off being a venue that does $10,000 a week that has a 25% cost of goods, or a venue that's doing $20,000 a week doing 35% cost of goods? Because there's vast difference between those two. Now, where food cost really comes into it as a percentage is when you're looking at that in relation to other costs around the venue.
Sure.
So if you're saying that your food cost is 35 and your labor cost is 35 and your rent is 10%, you're starting to get into some trouble, because when you then add up all your other costs, you're probably not going to make a lot of money.
Sure.
Right.
So what you're trying to say is we have to look at the entire business model as it stands, and then that's where we determine the cost of goods of the product?
Yeah, look, well, with the cost of goods of the product, I think cost, again, I use cost of goods as a general guide, but I would never base decisions on a menu item purely based on the cost of goods percentage. Because I think it's all relative to where we are right now. Now, if you're doing a completely brand new menu and have never, not running the business before, I would say shooting for somewhere around about 30%. And it's a very generalised statement, but somewhere around about 30% is a good starting point.
Sure.
Right? But if you've got a venue currently that's doing 30% and
Yep.
you're looking to improve your cost of goods, well, there's no reason why 25 isn't your target.
Gotcha.
Right?
Okay.
And so it's always got to be in relative terms to where you are. The other thing I would say is it's also relative to the type of business. So you're a volume-driven business, therefore you need to get lots of numbers, but you'll do that probably at a lower profit margin. Or are you a more premium business that's the products you're selling are at a higher price point, higher profit, but you're selling less of them. So again, it's all kind of relative. I know there's never any one size fits all. If anyone says that cost of goods should be 25% and that's it, I think they're completely wrong. In my experience, and I don't say that to say I don't prescribe to the cost of goods concept.
Yep.
But it's only one small piece of it. And I think to Robert's point there, it is all about the profit margin. I'll give you an example. I was actually costing a menu last night of putting 2 burgers on there. One of them is a cost of goods of 47%, I think, or thereabouts. And the other is a cost of goods of 20%. But the product with a cost of goods of 47 actually delivers us almost $15 GP, whereas the product with better cost of goods only delivered 9.
Yeah.
And so if we were to ask me which product
That's
do I want to
incredible,
sell,
yeah.
I want to sell the product that puts $15 into my pocket
So-
every time I sell one, not the product that does 9,
Yes.
even though the cost of goods percentage is much higher.
So to that point, then going back to a previous discussion about your menu and the way a good, better, best works, there would be one product that probably sits down in the best category, and there's one's right there at the entry level. So that's how those two, for that example, that's how that's going to be sitting.
Yes, except I would say,
Yeah.
and not to further complicate matters, is that pricing should never be done in relation to cost of goods. Pricing is a perception of value, not a perception of the cost.
Yes.
Or not directly in relation to the cost. And the reason for that is if you can charge $15 for a product, I don't care if the cost of goods is 2%, you charge $15. You don't charge because it's based on achieving a 25% cost of goods. Right?
Gotcha. Yeah.
If you've got a product that you can only price at $29 because that's the maximum price you're ever going to get, it has to be done in relation to the perception of value, and then you see whether you should be selling that product based on the cost of goods that it is.
And I think that's an important point you raised, perception of value, and I guess using a menu as a sales document, or using a menu with a psychological sense point of where is your customer looking at that menu and what is actually driving their decision making, which I think is a whole different topic, and that's something that we should definitely have a chat about separately.
Yeah.
With that in mind, so you speak about costing. Lots of people are using different ways of costing out their menu. I remember the days of doing it on Excel and spending hours doing it. What's your recommendation these days on keeping it simple and the most time-effective manner?
Yeah, I have files and files and files and folders all over my computer and storage and everything with Excel spreadsheets for costing, and used to love it because I was really like Excel and like the ability to pull the data apart. I have to say I have not used Excel in probably about a year to do recipe costing for a couple of reasons. One, even if you're really good at Excel, formulas break and things just don't line up the way that you want, and have been caught short a couple of times on that. There is one program that I use now. I use with all of my clients. I've probably got about 15 different logins for this. It's called cookkeepbook.com, and we will drop the link in here for that.
Yes, and just let you know, we're not affiliated with any of these programs. Just a program that we actually use, and we're recommending it based on, I guess, our usage and our experience on that as well.
Yeah, absolutely. But the reason I love it, it's automated, it's online. We can access it anywhere. It literally takes, if all of your recipe or your ingredient data is in there, it takes about 3 minutes to put a recipe together, or cost one out. I'll go into the sort of the whole process of that in another video. I'll actually take you through the steps of setting one up. But that's definitely my go-to program at the moment. I use it, as I say, I use it for all my clients, all of our clients that we're working with. We set it up on Cookkeepbook, and they just can run with it from there. Yeah, definitely my go-to.
Okay, excellent. Well, so we've spoken about recipe costing, we've spoken about the good, better, best scenario as well. And again, these are topics in themselves. So if we have to, if you guys are interested in, say, running a session on good, better, best, let us know. Just drop a comment in, and we'd love to do a whole sort of working session out of that as well. But see, this is just to get a grasp of the importance of menu planning and where menu sits. Where do we start? Where does an existing venue owner start? Where does a new venue owner start as well? And I guess it's sort of, we've highlighted a few tips and tricks in areas to look for. Now, if you have to summarize,
probably just before we jump on, I think to that point, if you've got an existing venue or two or more, the first place you definitely should be starting is look at your menu mix, so what's selling, what's not selling, and look at your costings, right? Do recipe costings, do your cost of plate. Those two, just doing those two exercises, and this is not something you have to do every day, but just doing that exercise once will show you what's working and what's not working. And it'll show you what items actually are driving profit into your business. If you are profitable, which ones are delivering that profit? If you're not profitable, potentially you've got some items on your menu that are just not performing. And we see this, unfortunately, too often is venues that are doing significant turnover but not making any money. And that's kind of crazy when you look at that. You see some venues doing $1.5, $2 million a year, and yet they're still breaking even or not even breaking even. And a lot of it is it's just not optimized, right? The menu can be a really good place to start. Just look at those two areas, and that will give you some insights into what's going on.
Absolutely. And we've just got a message in by Liz as well. She actually uses the software that you just mentioned, and it seems like it works great for her business, so which is fantastic. If there are any other programs that you guys use, any other tips or tricks, just let us know. Just drop in a comment. We'd love to have a look at those. I'm sure there some out there that we've probably not been exposed to, so I would love to know that.
Yes.
Now, just to wrap up, I know because we can speak about menu all night long, but what would be interesting is to understand what is it that you want to know about menu planning. Are there any questions or topics that we can discuss and talk about? That would be great. Just drop in a comment, and we'd love to speak about them as well. One last thing, I think someone last time mentioned to us was about nutritional information and adding that into your menu as well. Now, depending on the size of the business, I guess in certain businesses, it's absolutely important. If you're a health-focused business, then you need to have the nutritional information in there. But is there a tip on how do we actually include that into our menu as well these days, or calculate that piece?
Yeah, look, well, certainly from a calculation point of view, cookkeepbook.com. There you go. Thanks, Liz, for dropping that in. Definitely check that one out. If you use their premium version, it's $9 US a month. Again, no affiliation with the business, or $39 for the year if you sign up on a yearly subscription. So it's awesome value.
Yeah.
You can do nutritional, or compile the nutritional analysis through that.
Sure.
Right? The process behind it, you need to go and find obviously the nutritional breakdown for each of the products, ingredients you're using. Cookkeepbook's got an awesome database, and again, when we do the I'll do a bit of a deep dive into Cookkeepbook in a future video, but you can actually go and use that to put together your nutritional. I have done that before for clients, mostly in the health space. So people are looking, they're serving acai bowls, or they're doing health-related products. Then it's worthwhile. In Australia, if you're a business of I think over 20 in one state or 30 in one state.
It changes
all the time. You need to actually have your nutritionals displayed on your menu. You need to have the kilojoules on your menu. I know different states, different countries have their own rules around that. So for those with bigger brands, or it's a bigger focus, then you can talk to dietitians and nutritionists can put that together. It's quite it's generally a lengthy process to put it together, because there's a lot of science that kind of goes behind it, and you need to be quite accurate with the information you're putting in.
Absolutely.
Otherwise, you're potentially spreading false information.
Absolutely. No, that's great. Now, thank you for that. So the software is Cook, Keep, Book, and that's the one. So thank you, Liz, for putting that back on the chat as well. So I think this is it. I think this is good to wrap up. I think that's a lot of information that we have provided. Again, as we said, if there are any questions, any topics that you require additional information or you'd like us to talk about, just let us know, and we would love to have a chat about that. But I think this is going to be a sort of a weekly feature. It's going to be us every Wednesday, I think, dialing in at 5 o'clock to make a short video in bite-sized chunks that that's going to add value, I guess, to the group and to the community as a whole. We are here on a sort of way to educate the hospitality industry. We've both been in the industry for a very long time, lost all our hair in the industry as well, and worked for all sorts of businesses. Having started ours not too long ago, and I'm super excited to be part of this journey and this community that we're building slowly, one venue at a time, as we say. But other than that, if you have any questions, if you guys want to get in touch with us, drop us a DM. We'd love to have a chat about your business. If you have any areas that you reckon that we could help out with, would love to have a chat with you and see where you're at. So I think this is it. Anything else you want to add on, Dom?
No. I could talk about this all day. Drop again, to your point. Drop any comments or any questions in the comments section. But if you do want to chat about your venue, if you want to chat about cost of goods, if you want to chat about business performance, send us a DM. We'd love to chat. Absolutely,
and thank you for Robert, Liz, and Jenny as well for sending in your comments. I'm sure we've got quite a few other people who will watch the post broadcast, and there'll be more comments coming through. But again, that is it for this Wednesday evening.
Yeah.
Thanks, guys.
Perfect.
See you next week.
Thanks very much.